Welcome to another live stream for the Afrika Investors Academy virtual summit. So, as you know, I've been talking a lot about Zanzibar, my love for Zanzibar, the warmth, the beauty, and most recently, the opportunities that exist around real estate, driven by tourism. And so, in our session, we are going to bring on some experts in this space who are officially partnered with the Afrika Investors Academy Summit next month, August 2023. I cannot believe it's like less than 4 weeks away, less than 3 weeks away, with Fumba Town. So it is Lucy Mchiwa and Derek Kibe. They are going to be, Kevin Kibe. We have another Derek in the behind the scenes in the studio. So for all of the Afrika Investor Academy members, they are in the studio behind the scenes, asking questions, getting engaged. This is I believe, member only or chat, subscription only chat. So if you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, share this with someone who would find value in it, and get involved. Bring your questions. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on our experts, Kevin Kibe, sales director at CPS, and Lucy Mchiwa, who is our corporate investment advisor. So welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you for joining. Hi, Lucy. Karibu.
Asante. Your Swahili is really nice.
Thank you. Asante sana. I'm working on it still. So we have Patricia here. Hi, Patricia. Welcome. Watching from Brooklyn, New York. I'm safe in South Africa, staying warm. If you want to be greeted, please let us know where you're joining from. Please get involved, get engaged with the chat. If you have any questions, we'll be answering them. Towards the end. So, Kevin, Lucy, please introduce yourselves. Give us some background about who you are, what you do with CPS, and what you're most excited about in your role at your organization. Also, I'll start with you, Kevin.
Oh,
Actually, ladies first. I'm looking at my screen and I'm like, nope. So we're gonna start with Lucy first.
Oh,
all right.
So, my name is Lucy. I work as a corporate investment advisor with CPS, who is the developer of Fumba Town, Buj Zanzibar, and the SOL project in Zanzibar. I am most excited about meeting new people. In my job, I wake up every morning saying, you know what, today I can't wait to speak to new people, to know new people, and to assist people in making the best investment decisions. I'm also excited about the Zanzibar beaches. It's a beautiful place to live
in. I love
that. Yes, my name's also Kevin Kibe. Ironically, a Kenyan, but as most of my team call me, Tanzanian by heart. I've one of those guys who really stumbled on the island 10 years ago and just couldn't leave. So we decided to actually start on this project. I'm currently the sales director at CPS, which is the developer, as Lucy mentioned, the developer behind the SOL, Fumba, and Buj Zanzibar. Really excited to hear from you all and see how best we could help you actually to move to Zanzibar. That's our biggest goal.
Awesome. So welcome, Kevin. Welcome, Lucy. Welcome, everyone in the chat. Please let us know where you're joining from. Be ready for your questions. So all of you know, and if you don't know, we are hosting the Afrika Investors Academy Summit inaugural year in Zanzibar this year. The beautiful, beautiful island of Zanzibar. A lot of people ask me why. And there were several reasons. One, I had a great experience living in Tanzania for nearly 2.5 years in Dar es Salaam. And every experience that I had in Zanzibar was just beautiful. It was lovely. And I was so amazed by the presence of culture, but at the same time, the welcoming of tourism and the affordability that I experienced while also experiencing this like upscale and very, very luxurious experience at the same time. So I never shook it. I spent my new year in Zanzibar this past year. My daughters and I returned for their like spring break, and we're coming back this August, which is actually going to be like my birthday when we're kicking off the summit. Was not intended that way, but I felt like it was very, very, very divine. And one of the things that I love about the development happening in Zanzibar is the developers and the community are very intentional about bringing diasporans to the community, bringing diasporans to the island, but diasporas from all over the world, all over the continent. And I love that. And I thought that was beautiful. And so no longer are the days where there isn't information accessible for us to understand about the opportunities that exist in not only traveling to the continent, but investing and living on the continent. And Zanzibar could not be a more beautiful, beautiful place. And so what the team of CPS is building, the projects, the properties, along with the just exceptional customer service. I only hear amazing things from residents, from people that stay short term. And so I'm just so thrilled to have you all not only here today, but also just supporting the initiative of bringing people from all over the world, all over the diaspora to return to invest on the continent. So again, thank you. And welcome to everyone in the chat. Welcome. We've got folks from Kansas City, from Kampala, Uganda, San Antonio, Texas. Hi, Tamla. Welcome. New Jersey. So super, super exciting. All right, so let's get into it. So I would love to get an understanding about some of the current trends and market conditions that make real estate an attractive investment opportunity in Zanzibar. Lucy, can you tell us more about some of the things that are happening on just in East Africa, in Zanzibar specifically, that make it attractive for investment right now?
Thank you for your question, Ashley. I think at the moment, the most attractive thing, apart from the location, which is very, very beautiful, it's right by the ocean. Fumba Town is right by the ocean. And it's the community. I love the community life in Fumba Town. Everybody is your neighbor. Everybody cares about you. Everybody wants to know about what's going on in your life. But the biggest thing that I think most diasporans are happy about Fumba Town is, at the moment, if a person purchases a unit that is from 100,000 US dollars and above, they get residency for themselves, their spouse, and 4 kids that are under 20 years old. So it's easy for people that want to move back to the motherland. It's easy for people that want to live here most of the time in the year. It's not like in the old days where you need a visa every time you come. This time you can purchase your home from 100,000 US dollars and you can get residency for you and your family. I also think it's easier for people to purchase in Fumba because of our payment plans. The payment plans are in installments, and you can pay for from around 6 months to 3 years. So it just depends. Another thing that I think is very attractive for people is we have all kinds and all types of units to fit for each and every one. We have units at the moment, the starting price is from 44,900 all the way to 959, 888 US dollars. So anything in between you can get. If you want an apartment, if you want a townhouse, if you want a villa, if you want your own swimming pool, if you want to live, anything that you want, we can tell it for you. We have everything for everyone. So if you look at our floor plans, we have more than 40 different floor plans. It just depends on what a person wants. Kevin, maybe you can add some more things, some amazing, but there's a lot of them.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear your feedback on that, Kevin, and just some of your insights about what's happening in Zanzibar that makes this such an exciting opportunity.
Well, just maybe to add on to what Lucy is saying, yes, quite true. We do have quite a lot that is quite attractive. But I can first of all base my argument on one of the mission statements that we've had as a developer when we started a decade ago. And that was to generally, first of all, create homes and communities, not buildings, not projects. For us, it's about building the homes and communities that more or less are strong, safe, and also creating a sustainable and accessible environment for everyone. That's, I think, the biggest basis of all that we're doing. We have had for over the decade that we've been as a company, one of the questions that we're always asked is, why Zanzibar? Why are we doing this in Zanzibar? And I think for most people, especially when you mention the diaspora, what is actually happening right now is there's a very big dynamic change in urbanization in Africa. Yeah, over the past couple of years, we've had the major cities being in places like New Delhi, Shanghai, Tokyo, mostly in Asia. But I can assure you, based on some studies that we've seen, there's a very big rise in circular economy coming into Africa, which is actually leading to even more urbanization. And technically, honestly speaking, now is the time that we need to step in. Yeah, there was a study I know that was done quite recently, and it showed like some of the biggest cities in the world are going to be like, for example, in Lagos in Nigeria, Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And pretty much East Africa has shown already that it's a very stable environment in terms of politically. That's one thing that you definitely always need to look into in Africa. Tanzania being one of the biggest. I remember as a Kenyan, we've had a couple of issues with our political landscape, but we've always seen Tanzania stepping into that to actually assist with that. And now even more is that the government of Zanzibar is actually opening up its border to more investments. We've seen already, like recently, they started the initiative called Silicon Zanzibar, which is an initiative to actually attract all these African tech companies into a very beautiful space, but also creating the infrastructure related to that. And I think, generally speaking, now is the best time to enter the market, because it's like literally entering a very young urban market. Combination of also the tourism that is there within the island. I've seen that huge spike in tourism numbers within the islands, and this is not slowing down. So I think for me, that provides a very beautiful landscape for investments. And even more so, like, Ashley, as I hear from your story, it's a story that I hear with so many people. You come to the island, you fall in love with the place. And I've got to be honest, we have had, over the past decade, we've had a very big ignorance of all the other sectors other than the tourism. But what that provides is actually a very huge opportunity, for example, for us as a developer to actually be able to create all these communities which are needed to actually also even push the next level of tourism coming into the island. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you touched on so many things, so many keys. You did as well, Lucy, and we'll come back to the residency because a lot of people have some questions around that. And Kevin, I'm so happy you also talked about the, kind of what's happening politically, because that's always a concern. And it should be something that people pay attention to with intention as well. And I think sometimes in Western media, when there is something happening in one part of Africa, it's happening in Africa, everywhere in Africa. So when people hear about the war in Somalia, or they hear about unrest in Nigeria, or, quote unquote terrorism in, in DRC, like they kind of look at the whole continent and brush that, paint over that entire space. And you mentioned Kenya, right? And there's some young people really passionate about what they believe in Kenya or Nairobi right now, which is separate from what's happening. And the stability of Tanzania is something that the peace, Dar es Salaam, like the place of peace, and just that kind of consistency with the respect, right? There is a level of respect of culture, heritage in Tanzania as a whole, while there's also like this acknowledgement, and I feel like there is like this there is a unification energy, a unification like spiritual sense that I also see and I also feel. And you said another thing that I wanted to write down, but I lost my pen, but I'll come back to it. So thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, you're right. I definitely am not alone. I've actually seen, I know a couple of diasporans that have purchased property at Fumba Town, and they're so pleased. And they purchase one, and then they purchase another, and then they purchase another, and they're bringing their friends. So it's definitely, it's been exciting to watch. What are some of the key factors to consider when evaluating, I guess, the profitability and the potential risks of a real estate investment in Fumba Town? Let's just say if residency or like staying, past 90 days is not something that an investor is looking for. What are some of those, options that an investor would have? Kevin?
Maybe I can touch on that. So one of the ways and one of the discussions that we always have with clients when they come on board is, first of all, to find out why they're investing with us, because we've gotten a very big mix of clients who want to invest, but also to use the properties that they actually invested in. So either as a holiday space or either at a later stage in their life that they would like to retire in the space. So definitely the reason as to why they're purchasing would be one of the things. And Zanzibar has already shown to be a very big retirement destinations for especially a lot of Afro-Americans we've noticed over the past couple of years. So definitely location-wise, you couldn't choose a better location. We have a 1.5 coastal kilometer strip. Of course, not all the properties are on the coastal front, but what we've tried to ensure is that everybody has access to the ocean. Right now, we are still very deep in construction, so we still have quite a lot that has been fenced off on a security perspective during construction. But later on, the concept of the project is to actually open all that up towards the ocean, such that even for those who are not on the ocean front, it's literally like a 5 minutes walk to the ocean. Definitely price is a factor. We have a very big range in terms of price point. As I said, we wanted to always do a project that's very accessible to all. And being a town development, we once understood that in order for this to be very successful, we have to include people in all different walks of life. We wanted definitely to have like a small unit or a studio. Maybe as a student, you can be able to rent or purchase at an early stage in your life, and as you continue on, you can actually move into different homes. So we have apartments. We have that range between studios, 1 beds, 2 beds, and 3 beds. Our maximum apartments are 3 bedrooms. Then we also do have townhouses. Unfortunately, one of the properties that actually sold out very quickly. So we don't have those available. We only have them available for rent right now from the homeowners. But this one's ranged between 2 bedroom to 6 bedroom. These were more or less single story and 2-story small bungalows, if you could say per se. Yeah. Then we also have villas as well for those who would like to maybe especially for those who want to spend time in Zanzibar and you want these beautiful spaces, a bit of privacy. We also have that available. So it's always just a matter of looking into the space that you have in mind. The investment that you're looking into, is it only for investment purposes in terms of rentals? We've seen on the island a very big influx of demand on especially 2 bedrooms and 3 bedroom apartments. Also, the other thing to look at is location. So do you want to be oceanfront? So you pay a bit of a premium to be on the oceanfront. Or do you not mind being on a 3rd row, which is literally like 5 minutes to the ocean? Some do get ocean views. I know personally, I own an apartment on the third row, and I have a beautiful ocean view and 180 degree view of beautiful sunsets in Zanzibar. So that's more or less how always we structure our conversation around those key elements. Yeah.
Wonderful. So yeah, we have a lot of people asking questions about pricing, floor plans. I think there's some questions around visa. So Lucy, let's jump into what you said and just reiterating what you said about this opportunity for residency for folks that purchase a property above $100,000, because I think there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of misunderstanding of property rules when it comes to purchasing property in parts of Africa, specifically in Tanzania. There's conversation that you can't really own the land, or you have a 99-year lease. Can you explain just a little bit clearer what that looks like from an ownership perspective, the value of the purchase in order to get residency, and what does that residency include?
Okay, thank you, Ashley. So Fumba Town is on a special economic zone that is meant to attract foreign investment. And that's why up until now, we have more than 50 different nationalities that have invested in Fumba Town. We have people from Tanzania, from Kenya, from Uganda, from the US, and other parts of the world. So first of all, the rule is different because Fumba is already on a special economic zone that is supposed to attract foreign investment. So here, you can own the unit in your own name. You don't need to follow the other channels that you follow if you don't own a unit in Fumba Town, okay? So here, it's just you, your names or your name, you own the unit. Now, when it comes to ownership in Tanzania, we all, including me, a Tanzanian, we get either 33 years title deed or 66 or 99 renewable. In the case of Fumba Town, we get the best. All owners get 99 years lease. So this lease, you can resell your unit. And if you want to resell it, it means the whole world is your market because anybody can buy in Fumba Town. You can inherit, your kids can inherit the unit, or you can give it as a gift. Now, after 99 years, it means you are going to renew the lease. I hope all of us plan on living for 200 years so that we are there after 99 years. But after 99 years, you renew the lease. So when it comes to ownership in Tanzania, we get the best because we get the 99 years title deed. Yeah. Now, when it comes to residency, when you buy, we have units from 44,900 US dollars all the way to around 900,000. So if you buy a unit that is worth from 100,000, a unit or units worth from 100,000 US dollars, 100,000, 5 zeros, you get residency for you, your spouse, and 4 kids that are under 20 years old. So this residency is renewable every 2 years. So it's not like you're paying, there's a person in the comments that said you're paying 400,000. No, the calculation is not that. You're buying this property, it's yours. You can live in it. You can rent it out. We can also manage the unit on your behalf. Let's say you're in America at this time, or South Africa, or anywhere else in the world, or like Kevin when he goes back to Kenya, we can manage the unit for you. We can rent it out, look for clients who want to rent the house, long-term or short-term. You can also say, I do not want to rent it out. I just want a person to come clean, open windows, open taps, put the AC on and off. We can do that for you. So when it comes to residency, you buy a unit, any unit or units from 100,000 US dollars and above, and you get residency.
Thank you so much. That was so clear. And I'm so happy that you clarified unit or units. So if a person was to purchase 2 units or 3 that added up to $100,000 USD or above, they would be able to get that residency for themselves, their spouse, and up to 4 children under the age of 40.
Can I please add something else, Ashley?
Yes, please.
One thing that I just forgot. Residency is for Tanzania, not for Fumba Town. It's for the country. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Mic drop.
Go on to what Lucy's saying. When we embarked on Fumba Town, the first development that we've had at CPS, one of the biggest conversations we always had with the government was how they would support us in terms of the diaspora and foreign investors coming to the island. Tanzania has had a very, when it comes to the land in Tanzania, they're it's very special to them. Yeah? So yes, throughout the country, we do get like leaseholds. But one of the biggest advantages, as Lucy mentioned, was that the area that we're investing in is actually a free economic zone. So that definitely opened up the discussion around the residency, also around tax incentives, and also just having that full government support to bring in even more investors. Now, I think maybe also key to note on the 99-year leasehold, this is not pegged on the mother lease. So this is with handover of your house, your 99 years more or less start with that. So you're not losing time during construction. That's one of the things that we were very grateful for the government to also give us. It's those small things that actually make a huge difference. Because
that matters.
Literally, yeah. And we've seen already with, especially through we're under the Minister of Investments, His Honorable Mr. Suraga, who has actually given us, every single time we have an issue with regards to how we want to approach this, he always gives us a listening ear. And I know, for example, this is the first time that Tanzania is actually doing residency on home purchase. And it's definitely, this involves, as Lucy said, it's residency for Tanzania, not residency for Zanzibar. So this opens you up to actually moving around very freely within Tanzania. And so definitely this was a very big discussion when it came to the residency. It was not taken lightly, and it has gone through a very long process of actual implementation. It is already in law, and they're just finalizing on the last stages of how to actually go through the process of like the registration and the likes. But we are very grateful to the government for actually giving us this and opening us up to the world for that. Yeah.
Yes, that's so exciting. And because that's astronomical. And I want to say, but I'm not 1,000% sure, but this is actually one of the first residency by investment laws that I've heard of for the continent of Africa. So I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's fact, but there are many countries around the world that have had these type of programs, like Portugal or the Cayman Islands or Grenada, where you can invest a certain amount of money and get residency. This is not something that I've ever heard of happening on the continent. So this is huge. And I'm so happy that you mentioned the Honorable Minister Saraga, because he actually has confirmed. So the presidency, the President's Office of Labor, Economic Affairs, and Investment is going to be our keynote speaker at the Afrika Investors Summit in Zanzibar. And so he's going to talk a lot more about this process. He's going to talk a lot more about the evolution of what this will look like. And I don't want to spend a lot of time, because there are a lot of questions about the requirements of residency. None of us here are qualified immigration consultants, employees of Tanzania immigration law, right? So do your research, head to the Tanzanian government website to learn more about your residency options. But for those that have an interest, right, in investing in property and understanding what that looks like, you know now that with the purchase of a unit or units at 100,000 USD or above, you will qualify for residency renewable every 2 years. Great. And so It looks like there's some people sharing information in the chat. So thank you so much. So I want to ask some questions around financing, right? So this has been a big question. What options or creative opportunities are there for financing, or is this even an option for foreign investors?
I could touch on that a bit, and maybe Lucy can add on. Yes, financing has been one of the biggest, I've got to say, challenges that we've had. The minute we opened up, the projects to the world, unfortunately for us, based on the fact that we were actually the first development in Tanzania that allowed foreign ownership, the banking sector was relatively a bit behind us. Like we were a few steps ahead, if I could put it that way. And so they still to date do not have a mortgage facility for foreigners. They only very recently, I think only a couple of months ago, BOT, which is the Bank of Tanzania, gave now the acknowledgement that they would allow Tanzanian banks to actually already now start issuing like mortgages to actually Tanzanian diaspora who've probably lost, because Tanzania doesn't have dual citizenship. So for those who maybe have taken on a different citizenship, I know right now they are providing mortgage facilities, especially with banks like Azania. But based on that is when we came up with the model of being able to make your payments with construction milestones. So it's generally we stretch out the payment plan based on the period of construction. So, for example, having a fast installment when you make your when you sign your contract, then another payment when we've done the substructure, the superstructure, and the finishes. So stretching that over from between a period of about 2 to 3 years. But also recently now we launched a new product that is the Soul Fumba, which even now allows us, because we've modeled this around now, being able to pay monthly payments of between 2 to 5 years. So we are really working very hard and even engaging the banks to actually see how we could be able to make this even easier for an investor. And definitely also on our end, trying to see how we could give also discounts on clients who are maybe able to make more than one installment, to see how that is even viable for them, to reduce their payments. So the issue around financing has been something that we've been looking into very heavily with the banks. Most of our clients are cash buyers. Only Tanzanians for now are able to get that mortgage facility. But again, this should not deter you, because one of the things that we've always done is to try and ensure that we have a conversation with the client to see how best to actually also accommodate them within our projects based on their finances.
Absolutely. And that's right. And I think it's important to share that, because financing mortgages, that concept is not necessarily a widespread concept around the continent. People own their property outright. When they buy their home, they build their home, they take their time to build their home. I think that's like a traditional custom, continental wide. So this is just even the opportunity to purchase something is innovative, and it is growing, and being, CPS being one of the newer developers to really embark on this, and kind of the government also creating systems and policy around supporting that, it's only going to get better. So I do talk to a lot of the people that I work with in the community to be very intentional about their access to capital in their home country, right? So, if you have a business, accessing business credit, accessing, equity in your property to be able to invest abroad, also getting, legal advice, because I am not an investment advisor, the certified investment advisor. But, having those conversations and seeing what your options are. This is something that foreign investors do, right? So looking at the capital access that you have in your home country and being able to be very creative with how you use that in your opportunity to invest.
Maybe I can just add on. Definitely, our pricing has always, and I mentioned the accessibility. The pricing has also been something that we've tried very heavily to keep on a low point, despite being the fact that we're building on an island. There's a lot of complexities around that. We don't manufacture any of our building materials. Even sand on the island is very scarce. But I can tell you, for example, over the discussions that I've had with investors, what you could get maybe abroad. Like I know I recently had a client who, for example, bought a whole apartment building. And when I was discussing with him about why he decided to actually do that, coming from Europe, and he just did the math for me, like what it would cost him to buy a similar investment like that in Europe in comparison to what he's paying in Zanzibar. And this is, as you said, it only gets better from there, because the island
Exactly.
is the population is growing, the demand on housing is growing, and him being able to actually afford to be able to invest in a building on actually a mortgage on, he took on a second mortgage on actually his villa somewhere in Europe and bought a whole apartment building. I think that's also something not to take for granted.
Absolutely. And I was thinking about that too. So a whole building in like the prices for a whole building in Fumba Town, you might get a whole building in like the hood of like Detroit or the hood of, I don't know, somewhere in the Ohio or something, like where there's not even a Walmart. And no shade against Detroit or Ohio, but I mean this is just a totally different landscape. So the prices are absolutely, reasonable and favorable, right? So thank you so much for bringing up pricing. What type of returns have investors seen already? So, or appreciation of value so far. I know I've heard a couple conversations that I've had with people that have purchased and that are renting out on Airbnb, and they've been really happy with the additional revenue. But can you talk a little bit about that, maybe sharing different numbers for the community so that they can understand that that ROI?
Yeah, I'll let Lucy describe that. But before that, I want to give you my personal story. I'm actually also an investor within the project, and I bought. As I mentioned, I'm a Kenyan born citizen. I've been in Tanzania now for the past decade. And when we started off with this project, for me, I took on the initiative to actually, I love what we're doing. I'm very passionate about the direction we're going as a company. And so I decided to actually invest in an apartment. That was back in 2019, just before COVID. I got my apartment more or less for roughly the price of about, it was a two-bedroom apartment back then for about $40,000. I right now have an appreciation on my property up to about 85. I know I've been offered a couple of offers up till about $85,000 for my apartment. However, that is an anomaly, I've got to mention, because we have the biggest group of investors who bought at the very beginning, definitely at a much lower price point, who definitely have this huge capital appreciation. But I can assure you, even for us right now, for those who are actually investing right now, we've seen already a capital appreciation of not less than 15% every year on their properties. And definitely that is a very big add-on. And on top of that, you're not even considering some of the things that are coming into the area. We know some of the plans, for example, as I mentioned, the Silicon Zanzibar moving there, that's going to heavily add on to the value of the properties there. We also have on top of that, very recently, very glad to hear that and one of the biggest African economics universities, actually, University of Economics in Africa, is also now looking into with the minister setting up within Fumba Town. We've got more recreational facilities coming into the place, more infrastructure coming in. So on a capital appreciation, you couldn't go wrong with that. Yeah, but I'll let Lucy also speak about the ROI. I know she's had a lot of discussions with clients about
That's
it.
huge though, but I don't want to skip over that, right? And I know you said it was an anomaly, but one, you work on the project, you believe in the project enough that you invested in it, and in 5 years you've seen 100% potential of 100% return on your investment. Like you've received an offer for that. So that is, that's huge. That's not a game, you know? And I mean, it's only going to go up from here. To your point, there are many projects coming in, Silicon Zanzibar, the African School of Economics, and even more, you know, things are growing, especially with the new projects that are happening with CPS. So thank you so much for sharing it. Lucy, can you share on that? But outside of that, sorry, 15% you're seeing kind of on a regular year over year, which is still huge.
It's still huge, and definitely, as I said, Zanzibar right now is you'd be very interested to know it's on the lips of a lot of big investors in terms of especially the tourism sector, and all these people coming in there, this migration that we've already seen to the island on a residential real estate investment. I've got to be honest, it's actually a drop in the ocean what we're doing. I think there's much more needed on the island. And right now, the biggest initiative from the government is to also try and protect tourism areas, agricultural land. So they're going to very soon start limiting how and where you build. And so building cities like Fumba Town, that's what I was saying, it's just literally a drop in the ocean in terms of the demand that is actually there already on the island.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Lucy, can you share a little bit more about that? Just what maybe some of your clients are experiencing from an ROI perspective?
Yes. If you look at the property appreciation at the moment, it's about 10% per year. And we think this is like on the whole of Zanzibar. So we took it as a general number. We're not even talking about Fumba Town itself, just we're talking about Zanzibar as a whole. So if you look at the appreciation of the properties, it's 10% per year. And on short-term rentals, it depends on the kind of property that I bought, but it's from 5% to 12% on short-term rentals. On long-term rentals, it can range from 3% to 7%. There are always pros and cons of doing short-term rentals or long-term rentals. But with that, I like to discuss it with like a person, a client, himself or herself on the ROI. But as Kevin mentioned, we are doing residential real estate. Africa is growing so fast. We, as just one developer, we will not be able to cater for everything that is needed in Zanzibar at the moment. There are people that come to Zanzibar to just look at Zanzibar. They say, I want to stay here for 2 months, and then they end up staying there for 10 years, like Kevin. There are people that come to Zanzibar and they
for me on that.
There are people that come to Zanzibar and they see all these opportunities of opening up businesses. So they decide to stay. Zanzibar at the moment, the government is opening up so much on these all other businesses that are coming up. And so if businesses are opening up, these people need a place to stay. So residential property is the in thing at the moment. I remember when we were doing the first handover back in June 2018, the president said, you know what, people come to Zanzibar for tourism, you know, but they need to stay in a good house. If they stay in a good house, it means the whole of Zanzibar is growing. The whole of Zanzibar economy is growing. These people are going to use taxes. These people are going to buy mandazi on the road. I know, Ashley, you know what mandazi is.
Yeah.
Yes, these people are going to use the resources in Zanzibar and they're going to help the economy. So he was really keen on showing people that housing is needed in Zanzibar because it's attracting a lot of people and these people need a place to stay. So this is just the beginning. If you look at our rentals, we can't even cater for everybody. People are asking about rentals every day, and there are people that don't get places to stay. For example, at the moment, this is high season. People are asking for, you know, houses for rental, and we don't have enough for everybody. Some people have to refer them to some other places. So it will only get better from this moment onwards.
I'm inspired. I don't know about you, everyone. If we've got 41 people in the chat, it looks like we've got about 26 likes. So please like this stream if you are enjoying this conversation. Share it with someone else who would find value in it. Support the stream. So if you're watching us on YouTube, there is a way to support us, support the value that we're bringing. Let us know that you appreciate this value by liking it. That's free, right? And then sharing it with someone else. The conversation around Africa is growing. I'm so happy to see that there are people that are intentional, that are making the migration. I'm one of them that decided to come back to the continent after leaving a six-figure career and saying, I want a different life than I've had. And I know there's something else. I want to live in a place where I can reconnect with nature, reconnect with myself, reconnect with my origin, reconnect with my, traditional spirituality, community, language, and all of that. And so, there is this excitement around returning to the continent, but also, yes, please. But also there is opportunities for us to return and add value, right? So I think that there were some folks that ask questions, and oftentimes will ask questions about, what does that look like when you're coming to, invest in a project here in Fumba Town, and say you're not necessarily living there? What are those type of the financial benefits outside of the return on investment? Are there any tax benefits? Are there any tax implications that they need to be worried about? Very high level, because again, none of us are tax attorneys or tax advisors. But I definitely want to give some of those insights as well for the people that have questions.
Lucy, do you want me to take that on?
Yes.
It's good that you bring that up. I've got to say, we have been, ever since we started this project, we've been a flagship on a lot of things. When we started this discussion with the government about the few incentives that they could actually also bring into the area to actually even make it more attractive than it already is. And I've got to be very specific. We're always just speaking about the free economic zone of Fumba. It's definitely very different on land out of that area. But in terms of the incentives, we had, of course, the residency, which was for you and your family. We had the 100% foreign ownership. Those were the two biggest selling points. Also, they added on two other elements, which was, first of all, a 50% exemption on capital gains tax. So they slashed already, they discounted, like if, for example, if you're looking into purchasing your home and flipping it after, then you already, your capital gains tax are already slashed by half. And then on top of that, they allowed for 100% free repatriation of profit after tax to, because they understood, all this is meant to target mostly the foreign community that's already buying into the area. You might not be living there. And so mostly you have your property up for rental. And so they're allowing 100% repatriation of funds, which is also not often very easy coming from Africa. And there's even more, I know we're in discussions about, because also as a free economic zone, there were a couple of tax incentives that we had described, which already, as a developer, we are benefiting from. But we're having more discussions with the government about being able to also extend that to especially the commercial activities that will be set up within Fumba. This still is a work in progress, but as I mentioned, and definitely I do encourage you, and you do have that discussion with the Honorable Minister, always do pitch that to him, because I know it is something that we are looking into, we're discussing and seeing how to go about it. Of course, also with protecting the interests of businesses within the island. Because
tell me that again. I'm gonna take notes. Tell me exactly what I should say.
Definitely, as especially for like yourself, looking into definitely moving into the island. A few more exemptions on tax is actually always welcomed. Definitely the approach being that, and even for us as a developer, we've always been that we want to consume as much local as possible. So definitely support businesses within the island so that they can actually also grow as well. But definitely also bringing in, especially when it comes to technology, into the island that is very heavily needed to even take it to the next level. So those are all discussions that we're always having in terms of incentives. We have those which are already under law, under the ZIPA Act of 2018, which we could definitely share with you, which you could go through. But there's always room for more. And the government is actually, they're listening and they're engaging with us. And please do so as well, so that we can, I think collectively we become much stronger force to actually be able to move some of these things forward.
Absolutely. So I want to take a minute really quickly to share with everyone the day summit. So I've been promoting the full summit. So we're actually going to we're bringing over some investors really from all over the world that are really interested in investment opportunities in Zanzibar, from agriculture, real estate, tourism, and tech. But we have decided to open it up to a very small intentional group of folks that have this interest, that are already on the continent, right? So if you're in Tanzania, if you're in Kenya, if you're in Uganda, you're in South Africa, there are direct flights from Johannesburg that leave from Johannesburg 2 times a week to Zanzibar. And you can absolutely come. I'm going to go ahead and present my screen. Let's see. So everyone can see. You guys see my screen? Perfect. I'm going to actually pop us off. Let's just see if I can. There we go. Perfect. So this is our Eventbrite page. If you want to go over and purchase your day passes. So our highly anticipated real estate tour that is going to include actually a full tour of Fumba Town. We're also, they're going to be hosting us for a barbecue. We're going to have sundowners. You're going to get to meet Lucy in person, Kevin in person, talk to them, get their expertise. They're going to advise you. Kevin is going to also just continue to share his stories. You can go to this website, get all the information on what the summit is going to look like. We're selling tickets for the 2-day summit, which is really just going to be the conversation around, the incentives around tourism. As I mentioned, the president's office is going to be delivering the keynote about these investment opportunities. And they are, I think I've also had the experience of they're listening to what we want and what also is of the benefit of the country, of the island, of the people of Tanzania, and creating a bridge for that. And so that is going to be amazing. There's going to be a lot of great networking for folks that have projects in Tanzania, in Zanzibar, that are looking for investors. We're going to have people there that are coming to the country looking to invest in projects. So I had a call with someone who wanted.
Can you hear
My
Ashley?
end, or
I think we lost Ashley.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you guys hear anything I was saying that last like 5 minutes?
We lost
Just
you for
literally
like
just the last ones, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay, perfect. Okay, just making sure. So I've dropped that in the chat for people that want to attend. We've got less than, I think, about 9 tickets left for that summit and real estate tour. So please be sure to visit that link The tickets are going fast. So, okay, thank you, everybody. Let me know. They sent me a message that they lost me, but I'm back. I'm back. Please be sure to like the stream. Let me check the likes. Please go ahead and ask more questions. If you have more questions, we're going to be wrapping up shortly. Let's see. So one of the things that I do like about CPS, they're very intentional about sustainability. And this can often be like a buzzword, right? That companies use to, attract people. What are some of the ways in which CPS is very intentional about sustainability in development, but also in the tourism, the way in which they're hosting and being a part of this surge of investment around real estate? It looks like everyone's saying they can't hear me. So,
We could hear you on my
you
end.
can hear me.
I could personally.
I can hear you as well.
You can hear me? Okay. In the chat, they're saying they can't hear me. Okay. Well, okay. So some people can say they can hear. So, all right, cool. Let's keep going.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, go ahead, please, Kevin. Please.
I think you're asking about the sustainability, and yes, you're very right, Ashley. Like this word, especially over the last couple of years, has been very heavily misused by a lot of companies to actually, market what they're doing. I can tell you, first of all, for us, sustainability is not only something that we're passionate about, but it is also something that we have to be passionate about. Reason being is that being on an island, there's a lot of, you have to really think out of the box in terms of how not just, I know in sustainability, you could be speaking about the construction materials, you could be speaking about the greenery around and all that. But for us also, sustainability is about how do you ensure that the project is able, without very heavily inflating costs, able to just sustain itself as an investment. And definitely every approach for us in terms of how we've built the area is in lieu and looking into how we could be able, over the next couple of years of managing and maintaining the place, be able to easily sustain the area such that it doesn't depreciate in terms of value, and probably also increase going forward. So definitely, like the infrastructure, we've looked into what type of infrastructure we're putting in, how we put it in, how we implement it into the area. For us also, green has been something that we've seen is a very huge currency. We're going to be very soon, we launched already in terms of sales, but very soon starting to building up what is going to be the tallest timber tower in the world. It's a very huge statement, first of all, to show that actually Africa can do this. It's going to be a very big architectural landmark, we know, in Africa. But definitely also in terms of, for us, when it comes to building, we are looking in terms of, for very many years, Africa has always imported a lot of its construction material. But one of the items that we have in plenty in Africa is actually wood. And so definitely for us, in our forestry, is definitely being able to create a sustainable forestry system whereby we can actually be able to fully build in wood and even reduce the cost on construction. So when we talk about sustainability, I know most people will always just be talking about the green initiatives that we have and all that, but there's also the sustainability of the project itself. And that is very, very, very key for us, being on an island with not a lot of natural resources around us. Definitely seeing also, for example, just ensuring that a lot of what we are actually consuming within the project is also coming from our environment. So also reducing our carbon footprint in terms of how we are keeping the communities alive within the project. So definitely we have very many different angles around this. And when you're in Zanzibar, of course, if you have some time to spare, I would definitely ask you to have a conversation with Franco. Please bring some time with you. he's very heavy about and we've been fighting with him for the longest in terms of ensuring as a project we implement as much green, sustainable infrastructure and facilities within the project. Yeah.
Just to add to what Kevin has said, if we build using timber, we have, like what he said, we have a lot of timber in Tanzania. This is going to create jobs in Tanzania. Money is going to stay in Tanzania. We won't have to import timber from anywhere else. Factories are going to open in Tanzania when we create the demand for wood housing. This is also going to make sure that our economy goes up. And the most important thing is people from where the timber is coming from. I don't want to mention because I know you don't know those places, but the highlands of Tanzania, that's where all the timber comes from. Those people will have jobs. Actually, you're Tanzanian already. Your passport.
Iringa. Yes, in Tanga.
Iringa.
Iringa, yes.
Iringa, the cold places
of Iringa wood.
Yes, Iringa wood. So all those places, they have amazing wood. We just need to create the demand, and the factories are going to open over there to create engineered wood for building. And that way, money stays in the country. And we have a lot of people, Kevin also knows this, we have a lot of people that are buying into Fumba Town because the project is helping the community around it. It's not just you as Fumba within your vicinity and your house and your neighbors. This project has brought so much money and so much development even in the villages around us. So when we talk about sustainability, it's also things like that to make sure that the community benefits from all our projects that we are doing, and not just, doing things that will not impact the community. So investing in this is good for you as a person, but also think of all the people behind this that are also benefiting from what you're investing.
That's so important. And I think that's the bigger part of sustainability that matters, especially when you're bringing foreigners in to invest, right? Is this creating career opportunities? Is creating higher income? Is this creating, a better environmental, Z, can you plug this in down there? A better environmental space, or, basically adding to the economic growth of the country. All right, I'm just getting a little charged up. So for everyone that has an interest in learning more about Fumba Town, I'm going to share the website in the chat, but also for folks that are in the community, that are in the YouTube community, the membership community, we are offering membership pricing to our community. So for those folks, head over to ashleyinafrica.com. You can join. This is actually the summit. So we actually have sold out for folks that are joining us, but for people that want to purchase tickets for the day summit, I've dropped that Eventbrite link, but go ahead to the bottom and join our community. Share your first name, your last name, and email address. For those folks that email or join the community today, you will receive those updates for Fumba Town. And if you're catching us on the replay, of course, you can head over to ashleyinafrica.com and input your information here. I'll be sharing out another email at the top of the week and regularly up until next month when we're going to be in Fumba Town. And for folks that have an interest in investing in Fumba Town, you will receive some premium pricing through our referral and through our community. So this seems like it's been really valuable for everyone. Thank you so much. everyone in the comments. Let us know if you appreciated the value that we shared today. I want to make sure that we're able to just share some. You gave so much value. Like Kevin, you shared so much. I'm so happy that you're also an investor because you were able to give us really your personal experience, which is so valuable. And Lucy, you've given us a lot of things to think about from an investment and financial perspective. Is there anything that you want to say last to just leave with folks that we haven't yet talked about that you think is really important?
Lucy, I could go last.
Ladies first. Okay. So the thing that when I look at Fumba Town now and where we came from, I am amazed, and I think most of our handovers are emotional because people see where we come from, you know. So to get all this that we are getting from the government now, it was sweat and blood. And I am very happy about where we are now, you know, talking about residency, talking about all these incentives that the government is allowing us to do. It wasn't a one-day job, and I'm very happy about it. It's a good time that you are coming in because now it's way easier. I want you guys to know that we couldn't share pictures today, but in the beginning, it was bush. There was no house except two shore houses. And when you come to Fumba now, and you see that we have commercial areas, we have a hospital, we have people like us, the workers who have opened side businesses like hotels or restaurants or coffee shops. And if you look back and remember that this was all just bush, and we made this came to life as I was here. I saw that happening. It's very emotional. And I would like to welcome you all to come and see it yourself. I would love to meet all of you, talk to all of you. We all know our clients by name and why they want to buy, and we take them to that direction. So I cannot wait to meet all of you. Fumba is a very beautiful community, apart from buildings, but it's a very beautiful community, and I can't wait to meet you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lucy. Before you make your closing remarks, Kevin, we've got some folks in the community of the Afrika Investors Academy, some members. Does anyone have any questions that they want to share, that they want to come from behind stage and come onto the panel to ask our experts? Shaletta, awesome. Ingrid, would you like to? Okay, no problem. All right, Shaletta, welcome.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, it's a long E, it's Shalita.
Oh, Chalita. Sorry, Chalita.
No problem. I did have one question. I was wondering if we should get money from the currency exchange. Should we change our money before coming there? Since we have this whole de-dollarization going on, you know?
I did see that question that you asked in the chat, and I was going to address that with you. No, it's no need to get it before you arrive. You can absolutely get it when you arrive, and it's going to be very
I didn't want to bring dollars if they don't want any dollars. You know what I mean?
Yes, no, they still do, but you're going to get your best value when using Tanzanian shilling. So we'll talk about that. We'll be sure to get you guys all prepared for that. But you absolutely want to use their currency, and you'll also get the most.
Okay, and the other question I had was, is it fairly easy to open a bank account when you get there?
Allow me to address that. Yeah. So as I mentioned, you know, when it comes to the banking sector, is definitely one of the areas, as I mentioned, you know, we're still engaging them on so many changes, but it's also a question of policy. So right now, unfortunately, Tanzania does not allow you to open an account unless you're either a citizen or you have a residency. That's why the residency also comes into play very heavily. I think they've been very heavily fighting also to ensure that there's credibility in terms of the people who are actually setting up accounts there and the likes in terms of crime. So the residency is the minimum requirement. Definitely, if you're investing above $100,000 and have your residency in place, and definitely you can very easily open it. It's just literally a walk in and out of the bank and you have an account. So those are the minimum requirements.
Okay, because that was my question. It's like, how, if you were to buy a property, how do you get you guys money if you don't have an account? You know what I mean?
So
if you're gonna make a purchase over there.
So a lot of our clients,
expensive. So.
Okay, so a lot of our clients do, of course, international transfers do are very easily received by our banks in Tanzania. And even on the other end, when you have already invested in a property, and you, for example, engage us in actually managing your property on also a rental perspective, we do the whole done-in process for your clients. We collect the rent on your behalf, and we have a minimum of 3 months where because it is slightly a bit pricey, it's about like $30 or so to actually send amounts. So we always encourage our clients that we send the money on a quarterly basis. But we send that directly, as you said, 100% repatriation of funds. We send that directly to you from wherever you are within around the world. So but as I said, these are also policies that are changing. Yeah, we've already seen a lot of changes. I can tell you definitely when I personally walked into the investment environment in Tanzania 10 years ago, it's very different from what it is right now. We've had some leaders who have shunned away investments, and definitely right now I can tell you the current environment in the political background, especially with the current president in Zanzibar, very heavily supporting actually also young incentives to actually bring in more and more investors. And also the banking sector is one of those that they're actually also doing a lot of policy changes around that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Thanks, Chalita. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
And thank you for correcting me. Thank you so much. So everyone, go ahead and head over to ashleyinafrica.com. You can input your email information. I'll share additional information with you. You can also head to Fumba Town to look at some of the different property developments. I've been sharing a lot on social about the creative content, the evolution of the project, the different opportunities there are there. Someone in the chat asked about a retirement community. And I will say that this is really not a cultural thing. I think in the continent, people live amongst everyone, right? And so elders are revered by the community. And so for folks that, if you are an elder and you have an interest in living in Fumba Town, it's a great place because it is a community feel. So everyone looks out for everyone. Not only is that a Fumba Town cultural experience, but it is that way kind of on the continent in general. And so I love that even though Fumba Town is comprised of over 50 different nationalities from all around the world, that energy is just, it's just automatic because of the cultural intention around creating that community vibe in Fumba Town, in the blueprint of Fumba Town. And I'm so happy that you shared the availability of, or the scarcity really of rental opportunities, because I have some friends that are actually moving to Zanzibar, and I was like, oh, so you probably want to live in Fumba Town? And they were like, yeah, but and in my head, I just knew that there was so much available, but now I'm like, okay, this has been something I've been gearing up to do personally for a while, and seeing and hearing from you both about just the growth that you're experiencing is very encouraging for me personally, but I know also for so many people joining from all over the world. So if you've enjoyed this content, again, please be sure to like it, head over to the website, get on our mailing list. And for folks that can't make it this year to the summit, join that mailing list so that you can hear about it next, or you can work with us to support your bespoke tour to Zanzibar. So Kevin, go ahead and close us out. Let us know what we should know that we haven't already talked about that you think would add some value to the conversation.
Thanks. Actually, first, Ashley, I just want to thank you for giving us actually this opportunity, this platform to actually speak and engage with a couple of people about who are looking into actually either repatriating or investing within our developments. All I just wanted to say was, generally, as a developer, one thing I would definitely want to shout out to the diaspora, especially, is now is the time to actually invest in Africa. There's a lot of changes coming into Africa, and I'm not saying that above and beyond that what is out there is maybe less than what investment opportunities are in Africa, but we're actually on an era where there's a very big change in terms of what is available for investments, the value of that in Africa. So now is the time. You're not yet late. Definitely, we have a very passionate team ourselves, not just actually only for our developments, but we're very open to actually discuss with you about very many different elements of, especially Tanzania, where we're mostly specialized with what type of businesses, all these discussions around that, of course, focused around our projects. We've had I've got to say, a very passionate team that is really looking into your interests within our developments, with ensuring that your investment is actually not just maintaining itself, but even growing even further. And we're always also open for any suggestions in terms of any changes or things we need to consider within the project. Looking forward to actually growing together to build this. I know we're also looking into, at some future stages, also being able to not just do developments within the islands. Right now, what is the active projects we have out on the island, but we're also looking into other areas. And definitely for us, our clients who are already working with us the path with what we're doing in Zanzibar always get the first knowledge in terms of anywhere we've opened up newly. I know, like recently we launched the Soul in Fumba. And we definitely, first of all, always give those opportunities to the clients who we already have within our database. So, yeah, more than welcome. Looking forward
to sold out in like a month, right?
We sold out the Soul in Paje. And we thought, this development was just too beautiful. And now we have Soul Fumba. So we took a couple of the elements that were really, really strong within the Soul as a development, and we brought it into Fumba. It's more or less this concept of actually being able to even further blend the idea of tourism and real estate even further.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, both of you. I appreciate you. So for everyone, Rodney, I know you just asked some questions. You're going to have to catch the replay. We talked a lot about the process. We talked a lot about the incentives, talked a lot about the ROI opportunities, management of property, and the opportunity that still exists for rentals, or just, even for residency. So please be sure to catch the replay, share it with someone who would find value in it. Head to Fumba.town. I'm going to leave contact information in the description of this video as well. So if you have additional questions, you can email Lucy at cps.live. I'll put it in the comments, in the description, because these comments sometimes go away. So I want to make sure that all of the information is available, even for the replay, for when other people are catching this later in the week. And I'll also be sharing out an email for everyone that is on our email list. People that come through the Ashley in Africa community, the Afrika Investors Academy community, will receive discounted pricing on their properties. So be sure to reference this community when you connect with the Fumba Town team, the CPS team. And yeah, thank you again so much for your support. Again, like this content, share it with someone who would find value, and go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I appreciate you, Lucy, Asante Sana, Habari, all of the things. Nakupenda. Already, we are family.
You're Swahili. I like it.
Zanzi, I can't wait to meet you, Kevin. I know it's going to be a great time, and I'm looking forward also to an ongoing partnership with you all. You have added so much value and just sharing so much context and opportunity here on the continent of Africa, which is what we talk about on this channel, right? So thank you again. Until the next video, I will see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.